Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Mid-Tier Thoughts. We're doing kind of our part 2 of our belt kit series that we've been doing here. Kind of the idea of the budget Minuteman setup for load-bearing equipment. So as we discussed in the last video, you always need a way to carry the stuff on you that you need, such as magazines and equipment, food, water, etc. There are easier ways to do that than others. My best way to do that, my favorite way to do that, is belt kit. For those of you out there who are big fans of the G3 and Setney series of rifles, or anyone who likes to run old wood and iron with an M1A or even an AR-10 or whatever your 308 platform of choice is, some of you may have noticed, as I did, that getting belt kit or getting equipment to carry 308 magazines can be a lot more expensive than doing it at 5.56. The M8 LBV video that we did last time, which you can see up here, covered a lot of ideas on how to run 5.56. Now you can run old Alice kit pouches for 308. They're cheap, they're affordable, but nothing else really about that setup with the Alice kit is designed for 308. A lot of it's designed for the 5.56 and the AR-15 magazines. So this is kind of a modern rendition of kind of a modern Alice kit, if you will, without using any actual Alice, and looking specifically at 308. So stick around and find out if this 308 battle rifle setup is something that you would run, or did I miss something? Let me know in the comments as we go. On this belt kit, we're going to kind of go from here, this side to this side. Okay, I'm not going to say left or right because I'm retarded and I'm looking at a camera and it's all mirrored. So, starting here, this is our 200 round saw pouch. So this would normally have a 200 round belt of ammunition, but instead, we have loaded it with 308 magazines, specifically those for the G3. So I've got these little pull tabs, which are just taking the base plate off, running some paracord through there, and then taping them back down on the other side. And I run those to get these to be able to be nice and easy to come out here. Also helps putting them back in. So I can hold 5 magazines, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of 308. Potentially you could also do 6 AR magazines with this, or if you're lucky enough to have a belt fed, 200 round ammunition pouch. So this holds 100 rounds of 308. I can also fit M1A magazines, FAL magazines. I don't have an AR-10, so I haven't tested those, but I don't see why they wouldn't fit in there, why they wouldn't fit any less in there. There's a little bit of wiggle room, so even with some polymer magazines with some extra girth to them, you'll be able to fit those in just fine. So we've got 100 rounds here. Then I've got my fold-up dump pouch. This thing folds up nice and neat out of the way. I believe this is the 511 dump pouch. It can get real small and compact, basically folds up like that, like it's nothing. So I can carry my Skittles, my empty magazines, whatever the heck I need, I can carry in there. Then I have 2 Nalgene canteens, or Nalgene bottles, right? So with these, I have water and water purification in these pouches. As far as the color goes, these were originally black. I had them on something else that I got long ago, decided to use them, tried to spray paint them green. Terrible idea, didn't work out that well. So that's why they look super ugly. But one thing I did do, this is a holdover trick from winter, is you take your Nalgene bottle and you take one of your green wool socks or whatever kind of wool socks you got, you wrap it around it, and it insulates your bottle from the heat actually and from the cold. So your bottle of water will stay nice and cold in the summer, and it will be nice and cold but not frozen in the winter. So that way you can always have good drinking water as well as an extra pair of socks, because you can have one sock here and boom, another sock here. Also, you have 2 Nalgenes, so you can have one purifying while you drink out of the other one as you go out throughout your day. Then I have a butt pack. So this is just a simple, I think it's like a 4 to 5 inch wide pouch. Back here you can kind of see that. I've got this thing loaded with all kinds of stuff. I've got cleaning kits in here. I've got a cut down MRE, a poncho, water purification, a bunch of stuff in here that I would use for a 24 to 48 hour time period, and things that I would immediately need, potentially, like I said, a little bit of food, way to purify water, a little bit of medical, some lighting equipment, some fire starter, things like that. So that's what would go in the butt pack. So we've got the ammo, the canteens, the butt pack. Moving this way, I've got my IFAK. Again, with the color scheme thing, at one point I thought it'd be super cool to make all of this Ranger green. It was a dumb idea, it didn't work out. That's why it looks like AIDS. But right here, this is my IFAK. So this is the IFAK. The pouch itself is one of these cheap ones from Amazon that was like one of those $50, $60 IFAKs. It's kind of full of like a bunch of knockoff stuff. Used that as a training kit for a long time until everything in it got worn out. And then I built up a good IFAK, figured I already had a pouch. The pouch itself actually works really well. So just added that to the kit and away we go. Then finally on this side, I have a 2x2 Eagle Industries M4 pouch. So this was the Marine Corps 2x2 pouch. In here, I have, however, just one 308 magazine because it's a little bit thicker. You can't squeeze two AR mags in here. Originally, when I had this belt set up, I had it mirrored to where I had that here, and I had the same thing over on this side because I didn't own this pouch system yet. So I could only carry 4 308 magazines, or I could carry 8 AR magazines. The downside being, if I wanted to carry 308, I was extremely limited on my ammo. So I generally have to plus it up with a Type 63 chest rig, which is like an SKS Chi-Com chest rig, but it's got bigger cell pouches in it for 20 round 308 mags. It was actually designed for the 20 round AK mags, but it holds the G3 mags really well. Now, on the last video, you may have seen that my belt kit had a bedroll with it hanging out from underneath the butt pack. Now, I don't have that set up because I don't have the straps or anything like that on the butt pack, but I do have a different way to carry some of that stuff. It's a little bit different. So if we look at my straps here, my straps are much simpler on this rig than they were on the last one. It's just a basic H harness. It's not the Wiseman company one, but it's very similar. So I've got my push to talk here to my radio, which is on my radio pouch, which is something I forgot about, my radio pouch right there. So I've got my radio push to talk here, and my radio is not in my kit. I'm doing something else with it right now. And then I've got my hydro flask hose to my hydro flask, which has this really awesome expandable portion back here where I can put stuff. And so I usually put in a poncho or a bedroll or whatever type of thing I'm going to run, like I would have underneath my butt pack there. And I've worn it with a pack. It really isn't that noticeable. It doesn't hurt or anything, and it's still pretty comfortable. But you can see the straps are much simpler, not as much buckles and not as many buttons that are things to deal with, and no magazine pouches on the front like there were on the M88 LBV vest. So with that, you can plus this up with armor fairly easily. The British are huge fans of belt kit ran in that way. For a long time, they would run slick carriers with belt kits or slightly built up carriers with belt kits, and they ran those perfectly. I'll try to put a picture over here to show you guys what that looks like. But it carries the weight around your hips. It takes a lot of the stress off your back and your shoulders. It's a very comfortable way to carry. You'll notice on this set in particular, I do not have a holster set up. So with this, if I really wanted to, I could probably run a drop leg holster. Most of the time though, when I'm running my 308 rigs, I just don't do a pistol. Part of that is I'm just doing more rifleman-centered stuff. I understand the ideas of why you should potentially have a pistol. I usually have one in my pack, but not on my person at that point in time. I figure if I ever, God forbid, get into a scenario realistically, or I have to go through 140 plus one of the guns, so 160 total rounds of 308 of what I'm carrying with this. If I'm carrying the chest rig, another 140, so almost 300 rounds of 308. If that all goes down, and these 308 rifles are pretty reliable, so if those go down and I'm out of ammunition, I'm probably in a really bad spot anyway that I shouldn't have been in the first place. So that's kind of my philosophy on it. If I have to go to a pistol one that way, it's probably already a bad day. So as much as I really like the M8 LBV vest and the video that we did on it before, you can just see how much more compact and how much less space this belt system takes up. And it really is just a battle belt with a harness strap on top. I mean, with a harness strapped into it with a hydro pack on the back. It's a great way to do this. It's super simple and easy. It's based off an HSGI belt, one of their padded belts. It's like the 4-inch padded belts. I'll open it up here so you guys can kind of see that. So on this side, it's got this nice cushion that goes against your lower back or wherever you wind up carrying this at. I'm not sponsored by them or anything. I just really like their stuff. I'm a huge fan of HSGI. I really dig the padded belts. They are super, super comfortable. And then you just run a Cobra buckle belt or whatever kind of belt you want on the interior. And the nice thing is, because you have this belt on the interior system, these do have cutouts along the way. They're kind of hard to see, but there are occasional cutouts along the belt that come in from the bottom to where you could strap in a holster if you wanted to, instead of just directly attaching it to the molly, or you could hook up a drop leg if you really needed to. But this is my 308 battle belt system. I've been a big fan of it for a while. I've tried to play around with it to see how many ways I can carry more ammunition. If I really wanted to, I could add one of these to the other side and carry 10 magazines. 7 right now tends to be holding up pretty well. I will admit it is a little heavy having this on the front. It's not crazy, but there's a little bit noticeable weight difference. If you did want to balance it out, you could go maybe heavier on the other side. Until I find a better solution, this is what I like, this is what I'm rocking, and so far it's worked really well. If you have any suggestions for 308 battle rifle kit that you guys run, or any suggestions for things to look for, or if you have any questions, let me know and hit me up in the comment section. And like I said, I'm a huge fan of 308 kit, and I think you can find a lot of good stuff out there. You just have to put your mind to it. You don't necessarily need to go out and spend $600, $700, $800 on a belt kit to get everything up and running. Altogether, I think a lot of this kit, well, some stuff I already had, but having purchased it over time, I think I'm less than $300 total, probably closer between the $250 to $300 mark. Now, granted, some of this stuff was older, so prices may have come up since then. I know the HSGI belt, honestly, is going to be your biggest expense with this. Those belts are not cheap. They start around the $100 mark, give or take a few, depending on where you look. But that in and of itself is probably going to be the most expensive part, which realistically probably should be, because it's the most important part of the belt system, since it is the belt. So after that should be your harness, and then you can get the pouches that fit your needs. But hopefully this guy's inspired you or gave you some ideas to think about for your next belt kit setup. If you like what you saw here, like, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace.